She's a really good defender. She also has a really terrible attitude. One of the chief rivals and instigators of situations against Caitlin Clark. This, of course, has one of Caitlin Clark's biggest rivals in it, Dejanay Carrington.
Did you hear about Kelsey Mitchell's playoff miracle? ESPN totally missed it. They're out here acting like the Indiana Fever don't stand a chance. But let me tell you, they're in for a big surprise. Mitchell's not just back, she's ready to shock everyone. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You know what's crazier than Mitchell's comeback? The way ESPN is treating the Fever and Caitlin Clark. While the Fever prepare for their playoff showdown, a storm is brewing off the court. ESPN's take on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever has fans scratching their heads. What does the sports giant know that we don't? Let's talk about ESPN's predictions for a second. They're acting like the Fever are about to get steamrolled by the Sun. Some analysts are even talking about a series sweep. Can you believe that? It's like they forgot Clark just snagged Rookie of the Year and made the all WNBA first team. That's not just good, that's legendary rookie stuff right there.
Connecticut won big again over Indiana, 89-72, and then the Fever actually won. We're a different team than we were to start the season. Side says we're ready, prepared for Sunday. The Sun was a much better, the Fever was a much better team the second half of the season.
But here's where it gets wild. The Fever aren't the same team ESPN thinks they are. Sure, they had a rough start, going 2-9, but guess what? They flipped the script in the second half of the season. We're talking a 15-7 run that's got everyone except ESPN doing a double take. And let's not forget about Kelsey Mitchell. She's been on fire, dropping 20 or more points in 7 straight games. That's the kind of streak that changes playoff series. But ESPN, they're acting like Mitchell's just another player on the court. You want to know what's really crazy? This is the Fever's first playoff appearance since 2016. They just snapped the longest active playoff drought in the WNBA. That's not just a comeback, that's a resurrection. But apparently ESPN missed the memo. Here's the thing, Mitchell's scoring is key for the Fever. She's averaging 19.6 points per game. That's not just good, that's game-changing. And it's not just about her points. Her presence on the court opens up opportunities for everyone else, especially Clark. But ESPN's got blinders on. They're so focused on the Suns' past success that they're missing the Fever's incredible journey. It's like they're watching a different league or something. You know what though? This might be exactly what the Fever need. All this disrespect, all these doubters, that's fuel. That's the kind of thing that lights a fire under a team. Mitchell, Clark, and the rest of the Fever? They're not just playing for a win now. They're playing to prove everyone wrong. Imagine stepping onto that court knowing that one of the biggest sports networks in the world thinks you don't stand a chance. That's not pressure, that's motivation. That's the stuff underdogs dream about. Great teams rise to challenges, but the Sun aren't just another hurdle. They're a brick wall. With a fierce rivalry brewing between Clark and Carrington, this series could turn into a chess match where every move counts. The Fever aren't just stepping onto the court, they're walking into a defensive fortress. The Sun finished the regular season with a 28-12 record, and they've got a 3-1 advantage in their season series against Indiana. That's not just good, that's dominant.
She's a really good defender. She also has a really terrible attitude. The Sun can play some hella defense, and we've got to be ready. They're going to make everything hard.
But here's where it gets wild. The Fever aren't the same team they were at the start of the season. Remember that 15-7 run they went on? That's the kind of momentum that can change everything in the playoffs. And with Mitchell back in action, the Sun might be in for a surprise. Let's talk about that Clark-Carrington rivalry for a second. It's not just about two players going head-to-head. It's about two completely different styles of play colliding. Clark's offensive firepower against Carrington's lockdown defense. It's like watching an unstoppable force meet an immovable object.
One of the chief rivals and instigators of situations against Caitlin Clark. This, of course, has one of Caitlin Clark's biggest rivals in it, Dejanay Carrington.
You know what's crazy? The Sun won the first 3 games against the Fever this season, but in their last matchup, the Fever came out on top. That's not just a win, that's a statement. It's like they're saying, we figured you out. Now, imagine this, Mitchell and Clark in the backcourt together. Mitchell's been on fire since the Olympic break, averaging 28.3 points per game. That's not just good, that's game-changing. And Clark, she's not just a rookie anymore. She's a force to be reckoned with.
When you see score like the players turn away and it's fast and up tempo, and so I'm going to always align, based on how she's playing and how the game is going.
I'm proud of these girls, and we have a tough stretch of games here early in the season, and I think this is going to be a good one to learn from.
I think we've gotten a lot better, just like understanding each other as we're playing the game. Looking for each other when each other's hot, like Kelsey got hot there.
Here's what Clark had to say about playing with Mitchell. I think Kelsey has been playing really good basketball. She only makes my life easier when you have that 1-2 combo in the backcourt. And that's not just teammate talk, that's a warning to the rest of the league. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The Sun are still a defensive powerhouse. The Fever ranked 11th in defensive rating during the regular season. That's not great. And going up against a team like the Sun, that's like trying to score on a team of 5 Diana Carringtons. Speaking of Carrington, she's not just another defender, she's got history with Clark. This isn't just a playoff series for her, it's personal, and that kind of rivalry can change the whole dynamic of a game. So what does all this mean for the Fever? It means they're not just facing a team, they're facing a test of their offense against one of the best defenses in the league, a test of their newfound momentum against a team that's had their number all season, a test of their star players against a team built to shut them down. But here's the thing, tests like this, they're what turn good teams into great ones. The Fever have already proven they can beat the Sun. Now they just have to do it when it matters most. Mitchell's comeback is huge, but it's what comes next that'll blow your mind. Think the Sun are tough? Wait till you hear about the monsters lurking in the later rounds. We're talking about teams that could make or break Indiana's fairy tale run. Let's say the Fever pull off the upset against the Sun. You think that's the end of their challenges? Not even close. Their next opponent could be the Minnesota Lynx, and let me tell you, they're not messing around. The Lynx are known for their lockdown defense. It's like trying to score on a team of 5 Diana Carringtons all at once. Imagine this, Mitchell and Clark fresh off their victory against the Sun, stepping onto the court against the Lynx. The crowd's going wild, but as soon as the ball's in play, it's like hitting a wall. The Lynx aren't just good at defense, they're suffocating. Every pass is contested, every shot is challenged. It's the kind of defense that can make even the best players second guess themselves. But here's where it gets really interesting. If the Fever can somehow crack the Lynx's code, they might find themselves face to face with the Phoenix Mercury in the semifinals. Now that's a matchup that would have fans on the edge of their seats. Think about it, the young, up-and-coming Fever against the battle-tested Mercury. It's like watching the present and future of the WNBA collide on one court. The Mercury have the experience, the championships, the star power. But the Fever, they've got that hunger, that chip on their shoulder. They're playing with house money at this point. And let's not forget about the star power in that potential matchup. Mitchell and Clark going head-to-head with some of the biggest names in women's basketball. It's the kind of series that could have highlight reels for days. But here's the thing, every step of this journey is a chance for Mitchell and the Fever to prove themselves. It's not just about winning games anymore. It's about making a statement. It's about showing ESPN and all the doubters that they're not just here to participate, they're here to compete. Remember what Indiana's head coach Christy Sides said. She emphasized the need for improved defense. Well, against teams like the Lynx and the Mercury, that defense is going to be put to the test. It's one thing to talk about improving, it's another to do it against some of the best defenses in the league. But you know what's crazy? This is exactly the kind of challenge that can turn good teams into great ones. Every game, every series is a chance for Mitchell, Clark, and the rest of the Fever to grow, to learn, to get better. And let's be real for a second, no one expected the Fever to be here. They were supposed to be watching the playoffs from home, not playing in them, but here they are with a chance to make some serious noise. That's not just impressive, that's the stuff of legends. Think about the story they're writing, from a 2-9 start to the playoffs.
Kelsey Mitchell, who averages 19.6 points per game, got tangled with a defender in the first quarter, most notably against the Sun, which I think they actually have a shot of winning the series. Mitchell still managed to play, shaking her left leg out when she had a chance.
From a potential injury disaster with Mitchell to having her back for the postseason, from being counted out by ESPN to having a shot at taking down some of the best teams in the league. That's not just a comeback, that's a movie script waiting to happen. But here's the best part, we get to watch it all unfold in real time. Every game, every play, every moment is a chance for the Fever to shock the world. And for Mitchell, it's a chance to cement her status as one of the best in the game.